Notably, Christadelphians are not Trinitarian. The doctrines to be rejected says, we reject the doctrine that God is three persons, and we reject the doctrine that the Son of God was co-eternal with the Father. Bible Basics says, God is revealed as a real, tangible person with a bodily existence. And John C. Bolello writes in Tidings magazine that God is a physical being and not invisible. Bible Basics also says, the Bible does not teach any form of existence apart from in a bodily form. This applies to God, Christ, angels, and men. Of Jesus, the statement of faith says, that Jesus of Nazareth was the Son of God, begotten of the Virgin Mary by the Holy Spirit, without the intervention of man, and afterwards anointed with the same Spirit without measure at his baptism. They teach that he lived a sinless life. Richard Morgan in Tidings magazine says, Christadelphians' understanding of the Godhead is that there is one God, the Father, and that his Son, Jesus Christ, was a man, born by the power of the Holy Spirit, and had no pre-existent form. That's typical biblical Unitarianism. Bible Basics says, Jesus did not exist before his birth. The record in Genesis clearly teaches that God was the creator. Jesus did not create the earth. The creation spoken about in Colossians 1, therefore, refers to the new creation rather than that of Genesis. Some of the proofs given for the position of Jesus not being God include the following. Mortality and immortality are mutually exclusive characteristics. If Jesus is God, he couldn't have really died, for God is immortal by nature. Likewise, if Jesus died, he couldn't really be God, for God cannot die. Omniscience and humanity are mutually exclusive characteristics, and if you are omniscient, you can't shed that quality temporarily. God is undeniably all-powerful, while Jesus always acknowledged that his power was received from God, not inherently his own. God is by nature invisible and never seen. Jesus was, of course, seen. To say that God was never seen, and then to continue that Jesus is God, just doesn't make sense. In Matthew 28:10, Jesus speaks of his followers as brethren. Are we children of God or brethren of God? We can't be both. It again follows from this simple description of our relationships to them that Jesus and God occupy very distinct stations. And in fact, how can a father and son be one and the same? Again, to affirm so isn't a mystery. It's nonsense. The statement of faith also says that being so begotten of God and inhabited and used by God through the indwelling of the Holy Spirit, Jesus was Emmanuel, God with us, God manifested in the flesh, yet was, during his natural life, of like nature with mortal man, being made of a woman of the house and lineage of David, and therefore a sufferer in the days of his flesh from all the effects that came by Adam's transgression, including the death that passed upon all men, which he shared by partaking of their physical nature. Bible Basics says, because of his human nature, Jesus experienced minor illnesses, tiredness, etc., just as we do. It therefore follows that if he had not died on the cross, he would have died anyway, e.g. of old age. In view of this, Jesus needed to be saved from death by God. And also, it is widely believed in Christendom that Jesus Christ was killed on a cross. However, the Greek word stauros, which is normally translated cross in English Bibles, really means a stake or pole. Indeed, the crucifix symbol probably has pagan origins. Christadelphians affirm the resurrection of Christ and that he is the mediator between God and man. Of the Holy Spirit, the Christadelphian Daily Journal says, the Spirit is not a separate or other person. It is God's own radiant power, ever outflowing from him, by which his everywhereness is achieved. The Spirit is personal in that it is of God himself. It is not personal in the sense of being some other person within the Godhead.